Yes, a real job can be gruesome. A real job can make you very tired, but a real job doesn't suck the soul out of you. You know what I mean? In the same way that 9 hours of streaming absolutely will.
I just wanted to give a quick note real quick before I actually start to show the video. I do tend to blather on a lot when I don't have like a well thought out idea. So I hope you can forgive me just kind of droning on for a while and just kind of see the points that I'm making on the inside of all of the ums. So also, I noticed what he says here. A lot of people probably didn't really stop and think too hard about. He says it doesn't suck the soul out of you. And he goes on to say, not in the same way. So in his mind, he probably was trying to, you know, get people to understand what his perspective was. At the end of the day, he's only a man. And I want to put out there that I understand that he's a man. And at the end of the day, we're all only human. We can only do so much. We all make mistakes. We all say stupid shit. So keep that in mind watching the entirety of this, if you can get through that far. So, on to the subject of the video.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another video. I've had a lot of thoughts about a particular person and something that they said. At this point, it's kind of ancient history, according to the internet. About 2.5-3 weeks ago, Hasan, when he made the comment about his about streaming and whatnot being a very soul draining job, more soul draining than a real job, such as like customer service. And something I've been thinking about is nobody really has given like a perspective from a manufacturing standpoint, or like a really physically laborious job. I've been working in the manufacturing industry for about 6 years now, since I got out of high school at 18. And I figured I would kind of give my perspective and give people a general idea of what it's like for people in my position. Of course, anything that I say is just to create discussion. I'm not here to judge anybody or call anybody out, or I'm not trying to be aggressive, is what I guess what I'm trying to say. Because at the end of the day, I want to be as understanding as I possibly can. Most people like Hasan or Asmund Gold or any streamer in that position, in that field, hasn't had probably the experience that I personally have had, or anybody who works jobs like I do have had, which, you know, would make it a lot harder to on a mental level understand just the difficulty and you know, the struggle of what we go through every single day. So for me, I don't think a lot of people understand just how physical these jobs can be. To put it into perspective, I work 4 10-hour shifts, Monday through Thursday. At the moment, me and my department have been on mandatory overtime since last week, and it'll be that way for the foreseeable future through April is what I've heard. I'm not sure if that's entirely true or not, but a lot of the job that we do is just a lot of physical stuff. Say in particular, one place it's called the tanks. I'm not going to go too deep into detail, but it's a very, very physical job. It's basically like a gym session, a lot of upper body workout. And you do a 10-hour shift. We get breaks every 2 hours, which, you know, a lot of places don't particularly give a lot of breaks and whatnot for the workload. But this particular job does offer that. But imagine doing a gym session for 10 hours, working your entire body. And then you get home, you're sore, you're tired, and then the next day, you have to go on in. Me personally, 80% of the time, I feel like I just worked a gym session, like the entire body. And you know what that feels like. I'd imagine the majority of people probably know what that feels like. You know, you go to the gym, you work everything out, and then the next day you're incredibly sore. What do? You rest up, you ice up, yeah, you soak in a warm Epsom salt bath, or whatever it is that you do in order to loosen up your body. Me and my coworkers, we don't have that luxury to do that. Like today is a Wednesday. I was sore yesterday, I was sore the day before, and tired. Even though I've been getting roughly 8 hours of sleep, it still does not, it's still not quite a whole lot of time to rest up and heal up the body from, you know, a rough day of just running around and just trying to get things done. Like, my body 80% of the time feels like I just worked out at the gym. And that's just the physical side of things. The mental side of things, we've got, the reason why we're on all this mandatory overtime is because of all of the orders that we've received and whatnot, and the business that we've received, which on paper is a good thing, and it's better than the alternative of not having enough work. But having too much is also a big problem, in the sense of now we are having to work even harder in order to make production quotas, as well as also making customers happy. And this provides a lot of mental strain to make sure that we are making the best parts that we possibly can, while we're also physically tired from having to work as much as we already do. And then only having 2 days, in some cases, some of these people only get 1 day in order to recover, because they volunteer to work Saturday. And folks, I don't think if you understand or not, but 1 day is not enough to recover. 2 days is not enough to recover from doing the job that we do every day. On top of all of that, not only do you have the physical and mental stress of having to deal with this job that we do every single day, and having to work with other people that are also physically and mentally stressed out. Anybody who thinks that, manufacturing pays well, I hate to say, you're probably just very disconnected from the current economic state of America, and you're delusional. Me personally, I've been out here 6 years, and I make $19.83 an hour. I know this job pretty well all around. I know my entire department except for one specific area. The other two departments, one of which I know fairly well, the other one not quite so much. So across all three departments, I'm pretty knowledgeable. $19.83 an hour really doesn't do a whole lot as far as like my bills go. If it wasn't for my spouse's paycheck as well, we'd be struggling a lot more than we are. And that's just for me. I know I have coworkers here who are single parents who make around the same that I make, and they're having to do this all by themselves without any dual income. So after you take all of the mental and physical stress just from the job itself alone, on top of that, you've got the financial stresses of having to pay for groceries, bills, And in my personal case, lots of hospital bills, and paying for, prescriptions, like medications and whatnot, and as well as therapy. I struggle a lot with my mental health, especially as of like the last few years. And just like a lot of people do, mental health is very, very closely related with my physical health. So while worrying about money and making sure that we have enough money for bills and making sure that I'm trying to eat properly, and while I don't really have a whole lot of time after I get home from work, it sinks into the body and just tenses you up, makes you sore, makes it harder to sleep at times. And while you're trying to recover from the physicality of the job and then going into the job the next day to do the exact same thing while feeling more or less worse, it really, really affects the mind in a very negative light. Of course, it's nothing against this place in particular. I work a good job. It's not a bad job. The management cares about its people. The people, like I said, I work with are pretty great for the most part. Every job, to a degree, has its own people that are cumbersome and whatnot. But at the end of the day, the workload and the pay are not equal. Especially the pay just not meeting, the constant rise of inflation and the cost of living. That has been way off for decades at this point. And hearing Hasan and other people talk about how, streaming and working is more soul draining than working a real job, and which I from their perspective, and their personal experience, I can see that. I can see how arguing with chat over, political issues for 9 hours a day can be soul draining. But at the end of the day, just like a lot of other people have pointed out, you have the option to take that day off and rest up and mentally prepare yourself and just reload. While me, I don't have that option. I can't take that option. And some people will be like, well, if the job's too much for you, why can't you just find a new job? It's like, well, I don't have that option, because the trade-off's going to be I may get a bigger paycheck, but the trade-off is going to be probably a worse boss, either worse coworkers, a longer drive, or just working more hours. Because there's another place I can think of that has a higher paycheck, but they work a lot of 12-hour shifts. I can't do that. I used to work 12-hour shifts here at some point, and it's too hard on the body. You don't have any time in the day to do anything. You get home, you go straight to bed if you want to get 8 hours of sleep. Because right now, I only have about 2 hours after I get home to do whatever I personally like and eat and stuff, take a shower or whatever, and then go to bed if I want to get 8 hours of sleep. That doesn't leave me a whole lot of time to hang out with friends, do the things that I love, talk with my spouse. It's hard to cram all of these things. And while I had a 3-day weekend, it was a lot easier to do all of that stuff over the weekend, but now I only have 2 days to do all of that. And so my brain's trying to cram all of these things and whatnot on Sundays. I have anxiety attacks, panic attacks, because I know I have to go back to work and I'm going to be sore, I'm going to be tired again, and I'm trying to shove all of these activities into a 2-day weekend. And that's the thing that a lot of people in my position deal with on a daily basis. And that, I think, is why me personally and a lot of people in my position took offense to the way that was worded. Not to say that Hasan doesn't deal with, mental stress and, mental health and whatnot. And the physical side may be affected by the mental side of a job like streaming. I can't say, because I'm not a full-time streamer. I haven't done what he's done. But at the end of the day, you can take a break whenever you want to. You are your own boss. And so when people like that say the things that they do about how, like working a real job isn't as soul draining, as like, I don't think you understand just how soul draining a job like this is. Mentally, physically, you feel everything. Like I said, 80% of the time, I'm sore as hell. I'm tired as hell. But I can't stop and take a break. And on top of all that, I'm not really making a whole lot of money. I can't take a break. And so you say, oh, we'll take some sick time off. Like, I can't do that because I've already gone through all my sick time because of emergencies that have happened at the beginning of the year. I started November last year with 0 points. We have a 7-point attendance policy. Every day you call in is 1 point unless you get a doctor's note. And then every subsequent day after that first day is only 1 point. So you just keep that all at 1 point. I'm at 6 right now because of all the things that have happened, getting sick and just like all these stresses and whatnot, and just, you know, medical emergencies that have happened. And on top of that, now we've got all these medical bills and stuff that we're having to pay off, and it adds up over and over and over again. And so a lot of these people are living paycheck to paycheck, and I'm not living paycheck to paycheck, but I'm close to that point. So it's something that somebody in his position doesn't understand, and I'm hoping that everything that I've said kind of gives some sort of perspective and would help somebody understand just how difficult it is for a lot of these people in the working class. Because I know there are people who have it way worse than I do. Like, even in my own workplace, I can think of some people who have it worse, and they don't have an option to figure something else out. You know, me personally, I've put 6 years into this job. I mentally, I don't want to go find a new job and have to relearn, re-network, re-earn respect. I'm Gen Z. A lot of older people don't like Gen Z. They think we're the laziest motherfuckers in the world, and while some of that may be true, that there's just lazy people in every generation. I can't mentally take on a new job while also potentially taking on a pay cut or working more hours or working a more, like, even manually intensive job. Like, I've hurt my back twice now, within 3 years. One just recently last week. And so it's just something that I think people like that need to understand and need to hear and be thinking about before they say things like that. And I know one way immediately to help this is to compensate people properly for the cost of living increases and inflation increases. Because that, like I said, that scale's been off for years and years, and you can do your own research and see that. But financial stress affects the physical side of things so much more than people realize. So I guess what I'm trying to say at the end of the day is, Hasan, Asman, anybody in that space who says things like this, while I'm not trying to invalidate what you guys go through, as you haven't personally experienced my own experience and anybody else's personal experience, I do want to say count your blessings and understand what it is that you have and how fortunate you are to be able to do the things that you do for the money that you make and the freedom that comes with that, because it's very easily taken for granted in that regard. Because I would do more than any. I would love more than anything to be able to do what I want to do. Like, I want to be an editor for anybody, but editing jobs are hard to come across. Not to mention, just, you know, I'm outskilled in a lot of aspects in that regard. And so for now, I'm just gonna have to try to keep myself mentally regulated, and just keep on pushing. But the sad thing is one doesn't know how long they can do that. And me personally, I don't know how long I can do it. But I guess at the end of the day, as long as we try to stick together, we can keep going, I guess. So from a manufacturing perspective, that is the soul draining experience that I have had, and many people among me have had. and I hope it sheds some light into what we deal with day in, day out, and gives more people an inside look onto what it's like, and hopefully maybe this causes some sort of change of some kind. Realistically, that probably won't happen, but you know, a fella can hope. So, I hope y'all learned something, and I'll see you in the next video, I guess. Bye.